Good morning, class. I am Jasper Barboza, your teacher in organic chemistry. So before we start our discussion for today, let us pray first. Okay, Erica, will you please read the prayer? Okay, thank you, Erica. So let us check our attendance first. Okay, no one is absent for today. So that's great. So before we proceed to our next topic, let us review our topic yesterday. So what is our topic yesterday? Anyone? Okay, Ashley, what is our topic yesterday? Yes, very good. It is polarity and the covalent bond. So when we say polarity, so what is polarity? Anyone? Okay, Kathleen? Yes, it's correct. Polarity is the separation of electric charge leading to a molecule or its chemical groups having an electric dipole with a negatively charged and a positively charged. So let's go to the covalent bond. So what is covalent bond? Yes, Joshua. Yes. When we say covalent bond, it is a sharing of electrons between two non-metal elements. Very good. So what is the two types of covalent bond? Venus? Yes. When we say two types of covalent bond, we have polar covalent bond and non-polar covalent bond. So when we say polar covalent bond, it is the sharing of electrons unequal. So where there is a positively charged and negatively charged particles. And then when we say non-polar covalent bond, it is the sharing of electrons equally. So the dipole moment is cancelled. So now let's proceed to our next topic, which is the intermolecular forces of attraction and physical properties. So let's go to the learning objectives. So at the end of the lesson, the students will be able to determine the difference between intramolecular forces of attraction and intermolecular forces of attraction. And the second is to identify the different types of intermolecular forces of attraction. And lastly, to know how to classify the compounds in different types of intermolecular forces of attraction according to their properties. So let's proceed to the intramolecular forces of attraction. So kapag sinabi natin intramolecular forces of attractions, so the force that binds two or more atoms together to form a molecule or chemical bond. So kapag intramolecular forces, nag-occur yan sa isang molecule. For example, we have water molecule. So yung water molecule, meron tayong hydrogen and oxygen. So doon nagkakaroon ng force between the hydrogen and oxygen. So nagkakaroon ng partially negative charge at partially positive charge. So yung partially negative charge natin ay nasa oxygen since mas mataas yung electronegativity ng ating oxygen. At yung partially positive charge naman natin ay napunta sa hydrogen since mababa ang kanyang electronegativity. So, meron tayong tatlong types ng intramolecular forces of attraction. So, the first one is the ionic bond. So, when we say ionic bond, it is the transferring of electrons between metals and non-metal elements. At yung pangalawa is yung polar covalent bond. So, kapag sinabi natin polar covalent bond, it is the sharing of electrons unequally. So, nagkakaroon ng positively charged at negatively charged pole. And then, the non-polar covalent bond is yun yung the sharing of electrons equally. So, nagkakaroon ng cancelling of dipole moment. So, let's proceed sa intermolecular forces of attraction. So when we say intermolecular forces, it is the forces that binds molecules together. So kapag sinabi nating intermolecular force, ito ay nangyayari sa dalawang molecule. Kanina sa intramolecular forces of attraction, within a molecule, sa iisang molecule lang. Pero dito sa intermolecular forces of attraction, so two or more molecules. For example, meron tayong two water molecules. So nagkakaroon ng force or attraction sa isang water molecule at doon sa isang water molecule. So meron tayong apat na types ng intermolecular forces of attraction. So the first one is the London dispersion. The second one is the dipole-dipole. The third one is the hydrogen bond. And the fourth one is the ion dipole. So let's proceed to London dispersion. So it is named after Fritz London. It occurs between all molecules but especially important in non-polar molecules. So kapag sinabi natin London dispersion is nag-occur siya in all molecules. At it is the weakest intermolecular force. So it is a temporary attractive force that results when the electron in two adjacent atoms occupy positions that make the atom form temporary dipoles. So this force is sometimes called an induced dipole attraction, or van der Waals force. So pag-usapan naman natin ang neutral atom. So ano nga ba ang neutral atom? So it is the when the electrons are equally distributed. So makikita natin dyan sa illustration na ang kanyang electrons ay equally distributed and electrons are constantly revolving around the nucleus. So umiikot yung mga yan. So pero there will be a time when the neutral atom becomes a dipole. So paano nga ba nangyayari? Dahil nga sa kakulitan ng mga electrons, may possibility na yung mga electrons ay mapunta sa left side or right side, mas maging dominant yung electron sa isang side. For example, makikita natin sa illustration na mas maraming electron sa left side and mas kukunti yung electron sa right side. So nagkakaroon ng dipole. So temporary dipole. So when we say temporary dipole, it occurs when electrons on a molecule are temporarily unevenly distributed on a molecule, creating a small areas of positive and negative charge. So meron tayong neutral atom dito. Neutral atom, and it becomes a dipole na kung saan meron siyang partially positive charge and partially negative charge. Pero when you say temporary nga, bumabalik siya sa pagiging neutral atom. Yan ang tinatawag nating London dispersion force. So nagkakaroon ng temporary dipole. So induced dipole. Ano nga ba itong induced dipole? Induced dipole refers to the dipole moment that creates in a non-polar compound due to the effect of an ion nearby. For example, meron tayo ditong temporary dipole. So meron siyang positive and negative pole. So meron siyang nakatabing isang neutral atom. So ang nangyari, doon sa neutral atom na nakatabi niya, nagkaroon ng induced dipole. Parang nahawaan ni temporary dipole yung neutral atom. Kaya nagkaroon tayo ng induced dipole at nagkaroon ng positive and negative pole yung ating induced dipole. And then, the London dispersion force. So, the step 1 is the symmetrical distribution of electrons. So, symmetrical pa sila sa una. And then, nagkaroon ng instantaneous dipole moment due to the asymmetry. So, nagkaroon ng positive and negative pole. And the induced dipole moment in a second atom. So, nahawaan ng atom 1 natin yung atom 2. So, naging induced dipole siya. So, ayan, makikita natin sa illustration. Sa una is, wala pang positive and negative charge. At dahil nga sa kakulitan ng mga electrons, nagkaroon tayo ng partially positive charge and negatively charge. So, ang tinatawag natin yung instantaneous dipole or temporary dipole. So, dahil dito, mayroon siyang nakatabing isang isang atom pa na kung saan it is neutral atom, so nahawaan niya, naging induced dipole siya. So nagkaroon din siya ng negative and positive pole. Yan, let's proceed to the dipole-dipole naman. So when we say dipole-dipole, these are attractive forces between the positive end of one polar molecule and the negative end of another polar molecule. So dipole-dipole interactions are electrostatic interactions between the permanent dipoles of different molecules. So as we can see in the illustration, meron tayong positive and negative pole. So tatlo sila, 'di ba? Kapag sinabi na naman nating dipole, meron siyang positively and negative pole. 'Yun. So it means nag-occur ang dipole-dipole sa polar band. So makikita natin sa ano nga ba ang dipole? So when we say dipole, it is a polarized molecule having partially positive and negative poles. So makikita natin sa illustration, merong partially negative at merong partially positive pole. So how does dipole-dipole forces occur? For example, meron tayong hydrofluoride. Isa siyang dipole. So meron siyang positive and negative pole. At meron ulit tayong isa pang dipole which is hydrofluoride again. So meron siyang positive pole and negative pole. So nagkakaroon ng attraction yung ating fluorine which is the negative pole to another dipole which is meron siyang positive pole kung saan ito ay yung hydrogen natin. So nagkakaroon ng attraction between the two dipoles or two hydrofluoride natin. So another example for dipole-dipole force, meron tayong positively charged dito and negative charge. So na-attract yung oxygen natin doon sa kabilang dipole. So nagkakaroon ng attraction yung oxygen natin sa sulfur ng isang dipole. So nagkakaroon ng dipole-dipole force. So let's proceed to the hydrogen bond. So it forms a special type of dipole-dipole attraction when a hydrogen atom bonded to a strongly electronegative atom exists in the vicinity of another electronegative atom with a lone pair of electrons. So it is exhibited by a polar molecules containing H bond to N or nitrogen, oxygen, and fluorine only. So lagi nating tatandaan kapag hydrogen bond, may makikita tayong hydrogen na nag-bond sa nitrogen, oxygen, and fluorine. For example, meron tayong NH3. So, at meron din tayong water. So, kapag nag-bond yung hydrogen sa oxygen, it will be called the hydrogen bond. So, lagi nating tatandaan kapag hydrogen bond, kailangan mag-bond yung ating hydrogen sa tatlong ito o kahit sa isa man lang sa tatlong ito which is the nitrogen, oxygen, and fluorine. So example, meron tayong hydrofluoride. So there is the sharing of one pair of electrons. So since ang electronegativity ng ating fluorine is 4.0 at ang ating hydrogen is 2.1, so mas magiging negative pole ang ating fluorine at ang ating positive pole is yung hydrogen. So imagine na meron tayong dalawang hydrofluoride. So nagkakaroon ng attraction yung ating hydrogen sa atom 1 or sa molecule 1 sa fluorine sa molecule 2. So nagkakaroon ng attraction between the hydrogen and fluorine, so it will be called as hydrogen bonding. Yan, another example is the water to water. So nagkaroon ng attraction between the hydrogen and oxygen of two molecule. And the water and ammonia, nagkaroon ng attraction yung hydrogen sa nitrogen. And then the hydrogen fluoride, so nagkaroon ng attraction yung hydrogen sa fluorine ng isang molecule. So meron din tayo ditong methanol, na meron tayong dalawang methanol. So yung isang methanol is may positive charge na hydrogen, at yung oxygen naman is the negative charge. So nagkaroon ng attraction between them, so it will be called as hydrogen bonding. Yan. So makikita natin dito sa table is kapag ang ating electronegativity difference ay 0.0 to 0.5, it means it is a non-polar band. Pag 0.6 to 1.9 naman, it is a polar band. And when we say 2.0 and above, it is ionic band. So let's proceed to the ion dipole. So when you say ion dipole, it is an attractive force that results from the electrostatic attraction between an ion and a neutral molecule that has a dipole. So it is attraction between ions and polar molecules. So kapag sinabi naman nating ion dipole, nagkakaroon ng attraction yung ion sa dipole. So yung ion, for example, meron tayong sodium ion. Meron siyang, ma-identify mo naman ang isang compound or element kung ito ay ion kasi meron siyang positive or negative na sign sa taas. For example, yung sodium natin, Na+, ganun. So dito, nagkakaroon ng attraction yung ion sa dipole. So ano nga ba ulit yung dipole? Ang dipole ay may positive and negative pole. Yan. Yung ion, di ba meron tayong two parts ng ion. Meron siyang anion at cation. Ayan, pag-usapan natin ang ion. So when we say ion, it is an ion or it is an atom or group of atoms where the number of electrons is not equal to the number of protons. So that means when a stable atom gains or loses an electron, it becomes an ion. So for example, we have sodium chloride. So dito, we have sodium and the chlorine. So itong sodium natin is nag-share or nag-transfer ng electrons sa chlorine. So dahil doon nag-transfer siya, mas naging dominant yung electron sa chlorine kasi nadagdagan yung kanyang electron. So it means ito ang ating magiging negative and then negative pole. And then itong sodium naman, since nag-transfer siya, is nabawasan ang kanyang electrons. So mas naging dominant ang positive charge dito. So yun ang tinatawag nating ion. Yan. So when we say ion dipole, meron tayong ion at meron din tayong dipole. So ano nga ba ang ating ion dito? Ang ion natin is the sodium, yung nasa gitna. At yung mga dipole naman, yun yung water dito. Meron siyang positive, partially positive and partially negative pole. So ilan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So meron tayong 6 dipole at 1 ion. So kapag ganito ang structure na makikita natin, it is an ion dipole force. So another example for ion dipole force, meron tayong sodium at water. So yung sodium natin, since mas dominant yung positive charge, so yung natin, yung ating oxygen ay nagkaroon ng attraction doon sa ating sodium. At ganun din sa kabila. So meron tayong chlorine dito, chlorine ion. Kaya ang nagkaroon ng attraction is yung hydrogen. Kasi nga positive charge or positive pole ang hydrogen, at ang chlorine natin ay dominant sa kanya ang negative charge. So nagkaroon ng interaction ng force between them. So it will be called an ion dipole force. Yan. So that is our topic for this day, the intermolecular forces of attraction and its properties. So I hope you learned something from me. So goodbye.